I think there's a little, at least for me, I hate romantic scenes before, luckily all I do is in my career talk about sexuality and sex. I never am the person who does it. I play Sam Malone who makes jokes about it. So the idea of making out or something on film is a little bit, oh, really? Ah, shoot. But now it's Mary. I get to fall into her eyes. And it was just the most fun.
Oh my God.
The
fun. Women are going to be lining
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, but our kids will be throwing up.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Hey everyone, and welcome to a new season of The Envelope. I'm Kelvin Washington, alongside the regulars, Yvonne Villarreal, Mark Olson. Great to have both of you here. Hopefully everything's been well since the last time we chatted. Everything been good?
Yeah.
Good?
Doing great.
Was that like a question mark with you? Is there something you want to tell us? This is like a therapy moment. Yeah,
Life.
Yeah.
You're never too sure, I feel.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
No, listen, that's why I opened it up. Because I know that response. Yeah, I'm okay.
It's good.
I'm okay.
We're getting there.
All right.
We're getting there.
Well, it's good to see both of you. And we got some great stuff to talk about here. Yvonne, you had a chance to talk to Ted Danson, Mary Steenburgen, Netflix's season 2 of A Man on the Inside. Tell us a little bit how that went.
Look, you guys know I love my romantic comedies, and I felt like I was just in the presence of one when they were here. Season 2 of A Man on the Inside, Ted Danson's show on Netflix. He plays Charles, who's this retired professor and a widow, and he's also found this new lease on life, as a detective of sorts. And this season has him infiltrating a college and pretending to be a professor to solve a case. And there is where he meets Mona, who's a music professor there, and he's very smitten by Mona. And it's, the first time that he's felt this way since his wife has passed. It's such a tender look at love at this stage in life, and it was really fun to watch them together talking about the role. And they've worked together before, so, the fact that they continue finding ways to sort of reconnect on screen, it's really lovely.
That must be lovely at home, because a lot of people use work to get away from their partner. They're like, let me get away from you. No, I gotta go to work. No, you stay over there. So, Mark, I swing over to you. You had a chance to sit down with Nina Haas in Henrik Ibsen adaptation, Hedda. Oscar buzz, a lot of folks talking about it. What was that conversation like?
That's right. So German actress Nina Haas has actually played the title role of Hedda Gabler on stage, but here in Nia DaCosta's new film Hedda, she takes on a supporting role. It's a part that is originally written for a man, but here is being played by a woman. She's a former lover of Tessa Thompson's lead character of Hedda, who's now sort of a rival for a job with Hedda's new husband. And, just that seemingly simple change is just indicative of what is really fresh and electric about this adaptation. And Nina's performance is just really intense and exciting as a woman who thinks she can get ahead in the world just using her mind and force of will, but at a time when society thinks otherwise. And this was just a great conversation about sort of the art of adaptation and also how you put a really fresh new spin on a classic text.
And it seems like that will be the challenge, right? When you come with something, it could be a great novel, it could be a great play, and you're trying to find your spin on it. Gender swapping is a great idea, a fresh new way to do that. So looking forward to hearing that. Right now, let's go to Yvonne, Ted, and Mary. Let's hear what they have to say.
Mary and Ted, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Pleasure.
So Ted, the new season of A Man on the Inside takes your character Charles and his brilliant spy skills and brings them to a college. There's a case involving a rich benefactor who has plans to basically hollow out the essence of this school. And Mary, you play one of the professors there who also becomes a bit of, a love interest for Charles, his first since his wife passed. Had you two been looking for another chance to work together? How did this come about?
I will just correct you.
Okay.
More than a bit of a love interest. My character, smitten. Yes, but back to you.
Hardcore smitten.
Have we? Yeah, well, I think we're always hoping to
We
work.
love working together. It's fun, and it means, we both are in the same place at the same time, which is always nice. This just came about because I guess Mike Schur and Morgan Sackett, who, are the geniuses behind this show, somehow had the genius idea of letting me come play with them. So it was, I was so honored to be asked, and I loved every minute of every day that we
We had the
did that
best
show.
time.
We had the greatest time.
We're both acting nerds. We both love what we do. We both were taught basically the same method, and we could wake up every morning and giggle and laugh about the words we got to say and the things we got to do that day, and it was really, really kind of perfect. Yeah.
Tell me more about that. Like, because this is a time where you're allowed to sort of bring the work home with you, right? What did that look like? Rehearsing or practicing? How much did you do together or separately?
Really just trying to get the words down as far as doing anything at home. And then the rest you just come and play and see what happens.
We always give the other grace about bringing the work home with them, because we both know how it feels, to be, even if it's something that is very different from what the other one is doing, or the other one's not doing anything. We try to be there for each other, both line learning, and one of our daughters, Katrina, has helped us with line learning, which is very nice of her. And but we really try to be there for each other as a sounding board whenever we're working. And plus, it's just fun telling stories and set gossip.
Well, I know when we spoke ahead of the launch of the first season, you talked about, when you were approached with this role, you sat down and watched the documentary, The Mole Agent, with Mary. What do you remember about him considering this project, and you also watching that documentary with him? Like, what do you remember about those discussions of why this maybe felt worthwhile?
Well, we were blown away by the documentary. It's funny and it's moving, and we saw why, Mike and Morgan had sort of chosen to go with this beautiful story. And I also instantly could picture Ted trying to handle the technology that a spy might need to use. And it made me laugh to even think of it. And it's been such a fun theme. And it's part of the theme, even though he's a little better at it, but it's still part of the theme of the show in the second season too.
Just calling out your tech skills, Ted.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but
Oh my God. Wait a minute.
what's very funny is when somebody's having trouble, the other one will reach over with confidence with their phone and go,
Snatch it away.
and then not be able to succeed. So we
Have you
both.
gotten better at I remember you said when you get logged out of your streaming services,
No.
you get
Oh
real
no,
irate.
we're
No.
both lost.
We
have two wonderful young assistants. They're a couple, and we call them and we go, "What is our password to Netflix one more time?" And they're like, "Why are you even having to do this again?"
The grief and aging are themes that are really hard to talk about. I struggle talking about it in relation to my mom because I don't want to think about it. Are these things that you two talk about with each other or with your kids? How do you feel about broaching those topics?
Really good, because here we are, number one. It's interesting because we both have very definite points of view of what happens, about afterlife, about everything, and about living your life fully. Jane Fonda, who I met obviously through Mary because she worked with her, and has been such an inspiration of, keep your foot on the gas pedal or power pedal, and don't slow down. Don't try to make it cushy. Just keep going. Keep leading a purposeful life. Keep trying to make a difference, and don't let the age thing even mean anything other than whatever. It's a friendly topic to me. I'm sure if somebody comes in and says, "Ted, you have 5 minutes," I'll what? But mine is that I don't know. There's so many gifts that come, at our age. And one of them is, first off, you made it to your age is a gift. And the other is the word gratitude means something. And Mary, to me, is like always been a little more curious to me. And I'm learning how to allow myself to be more curious. With gratitude and curiosity, I think you're good to go.
We talk about death a lot. We talk about it both with the possibility talking about it about each other and ourselves, but we talk about it a lot because we've lost a lot of people we love. I lost my friend Diane Keaton a couple of weeks ago, and I found out as we were boarding a plane to Japan. Part of that trip for me was thinking about her and sending her love and
honoring her.
We went to a lot of Shinto temples and things like that on that trip, and I took a moment everywhere I went to say a prayer for her, to light a candle for her. And then the following day, I lost my Aunt Frida, who was 100 years old. And so you could say, well, she lived to be 100, but she was such a bright, generous, inspirational light in my life that I never wanted her to leave, So I was also mourning her on that trip.
And our kids lost my
yes.
kids lost their mother 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so we're around grief, and sadness and loss. And it just feels, sorry, I interrupted.
No.
It feels more and more like genuinely part of the journey.
Yeah.
Not some unfortunate, how did that happen? Light.
I think we sort of look at life rather holistically. So birth and death are very much a part of it. I'm not afraid of it. I've held someone in my arms as they take their last breath. And my very best friend in the world, we were two of her caregivers for the last 3 months of her life. And there's a lot of beauty there. And it is, whether we all can bear it or not, it's one of the two things that we will always all have in common. We will be born and we will die. And in between, man, you gotta just remember how much love you can give. That is kind of the ultimate.
And because there's so much suffering, and there's suffering, there's anger, there's sadness, there's fear, your job becomes clearer and clearer in life, which is to be as kind as you can, to love as many people as you can, to, nurture them, to come from hope and not, fear and anger is a good purpose.
Have the conversations with your kids, not even just about death, but aging, and have those gotten easier for you too? Or do you find that they're as resistant as I am to think about it?
They don't seem as freaked out. I think our granddaughters have expressed a little more worry about, us aging or losing us, because they have friends who've lost their grandparents or something. But I have assured the one that worries about the most that I feel just fine and that I think it'll be okay for a while. But I think it's a family where there haven't been a lot of topics that we're afraid to tackle, or and there's so much love. Our family is very close, and so that anybody can say whatever they want, and it's kind of listened to with love.
Except us talking about our career, and then they couldn't be.
Yes, that is the one thing. That is the one thing. I tried to say something to my son today, and he's like, "Mom, I literally was just telling you something about myself, and you turned it into something about yourself." And I went, "Oh yeah, right, I did do that. Okay, I'm sorry."
To go back to the storyline we see between your two characters this season, I mean, it's often a joke among couples, this question of, if I die, will you marry or date again after me? And the hope is that the person will say no. And, I'm totally
Wait,
devoted to
say
you.
that again. What was that?
When there's
Sorry.
Are you trying to? Because I have.
Have you asked him this? Tell me.
No, what I said is, if I go first, people will be lining up. So just don't. So no gold diggers. Be careful, and better off if you just give it a miss and just remember me. I don't really mean that, and I'm working on it. And I actually just finished making a movie that was the theme in it. Yeah, but I'm trying to be a better person, but I have a long way to go in that.
I feel
particular-
you.
Yeah.
How do you feel, Ted?
Oh, really long way. Oh, sorry. What was the question again? How do I feel about it?
How would you feel
If
if you're watching from heaven or whatever you want to call where we go?
I will be in a place where that human stuff probably won't be bothering me as much.
But
I'll
if
tell you how I
were-
feel. I'll tell you how I feel now. Here's an example of probably how I would feel. Mary's an actress. She's, leading lady. She kisses men, part of her job on film. And, I go, I get it. I'm an actor. I get it. I totally get it.
You totally
Good luck.
get it?
Yes, I do. I really do in my heart. Then I see it and my eyes go nuts. My eyes go nuts. But I don't fear.
Well, your
her.
eyes
She's
would have
never
gone
meant-
nuts a couple of days ago if you'd been.
Oh,
Sorry.
Do you want a waiting period? Have you made stipulations? Have you said waiting?
no.
I think we're just going to plan on living for a while. We're going to be Aunt Frida and live a long
This
life.
has caused a lot of fights online. I'm just saying. There's a whole corner
Seriously?
of TikTok about this.
Is there really?
Yes, it's my
It is
favorite
a
thing.
toughie because you feel like there's an answer you're supposed to give and then there's an answer you want to give.
No, I mean, then it's all bets are off or whatever.
It's all bets are open.
Life's for the
Well,
living.
what moved you about the Charles and Mona dynamic? What did you enjoy exploring there?
I think, my character was, finally came out of a shell at the end of, and found that community and purpose, revitalized him. But the idea of loving again and the sense of maybe is that betraying, is that bad for your kids? Is that betraying your memory of her, your love of the person who passed? But for me, the most fun thing to play was just how smitten.
He's so sweet.
He was so. Have you seen it?
Yes.
He's so smitten.
It's
Totally, he's
very
never met a
sweet.
creature like this, and there's lines like, I wait for the signal to cross the street, and I cross in the sidewalks, and she cartwheels
Yes, I
through
love that
traffic
one,
in
yes.
life, and it's just so much fun to play, so much fun, and it's so much fun. I think there's a little, at least for me, I hate romantic scenes before, luckily all I do is in my career talk about sexuality and sex. I never am the person who does it. I play Sam Malone who makes jokes about it,
Right.
but so the idea of making out or something on film is a little bit, oh, really? Shoot. But now it's Mary. I get to fall into her eyes. And it was just the most fun.
Oh my God.
Oh, be
the
fun.
women are going to be lining
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, but our kids will be throwing up.
Yeah.
So
Okay. All right.
Well, I mean, you've been married for 30 years. How did you approach giving a believable performance as new romantic
Right.
partners?
I wondered about that before we did it. And then part of it is just that they write. They write so beautifully and so well. And I love, Mike is so deeply funny, but he's also so concerned with the heart. Once we got down to it, that didn't feel hard. What I told myself about Mona was she's had quite a few different experiences with people, but it's been a while, and that her world is music, and she's a music professor, and that those students that she really cares about, and that place, which is this kind of wondrous college,
Yeah.
as some colleges can be, where people find themselves or find a community or feel a part of something. And that's her world. So for her, he's a revelation because he is so different from her. I think my character is a little like me. She's right.
Yeah, very much so. She's very much, thing about time is it's all emotional. I'm much more literal, and that's Mary too. I'll be looking at my watch going, come on, wait, we gotta, and Mary's going, no, I need to have this moment have its full emotional impact, which is the
I'm not
right way
just
to go.
chronically late just to give me a bad reputation. I'm not.
I know you're not.
I'm not late for work. I'm not.
No, but what I'm saying is true. I'm much more kind of rigid about time, and I'm worried about being late. Whereas you,
I get lost in things, and then
I
it
tell
takes
you
a
what
while
I
to
said,
surface.
compliment. It is.
I took it as a compliment.
I'm
no,
only
it's
worried
way
about
to
my
be good.
career and all the people that won't hire me because now they
She's only
think I'm
time
late.
to go to work. Hey, and I here's can I jump in on the playing, a love scene with somebody you've been with for, I don't know, or the writing is amazing. So the situation is set up for it to work. But the other thing about intimacy is that you really listen to the person that you're feeling all these intimate emotions. And we went out of our way very hard because acting is, for me, 50-50 at best, that I'm pulling off really listening or really in the moment as opposed to whatever, we really went out of our way to connect before each take. And we both studied with the same teacher that was not, I didn't study with the teacher, but I studied the method, Sandy Meisner, Neighborhood Playhouse for Mary. And then I studied somebody who had studied with him. But the point is, we would, instead of just saying break a leg as we were about to go do a thing, we'd say break a leg and then Sandy for Sandy Meisner, who was all about working off the other person, listening and not doing anything until the other person makes you do it. So it really did help both of us to be in the moment, and that's intimate. Mm-hmm. And that's intimacy.
I also just thought that if our editor is listening to this podcast, he'd find that's who Sandy was.
Oh, yeah.
And try to figure out who on the crew is named Sandy that they're talking to before yeah. No, it was very centering, it was very centering. And I found it a thrilling experience working with him.
Me too.
I mean, part of the deal in this marriage is that before I ever met him, I had such respect for him as an actor. What he does so elegantly and beautifully, to me, is the apex of the things you can do as an actor. Like, to me, I love drama, but it's pretty, like, every kid in acting school learns how to cry their eyes out. I mean, that's a no-brainer. But this delicate thing of making people laugh, it's not easily taught. It's something that's you either have or don't have. And, long before I knew him, and I'm watching he and Shelley Long be freaking brilliant together, like ice skating, with such precision. I was a fan, and so that's all still there for me when I act with him.
I mean, you've worked together many times, but what do you remember? Did it bring up anything from like Pontiac Moon for you? Like, do you remember the first time that you worked together, and what did you remember feeling then in terms of not necessarily the personal feelings, but like who he was as a scene partner then, who she was as a scene partner then?
It was all personal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bad.
yeah.
You were smitten then.
Oh, dear Lord, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't get enough.
Yeah. It was, I mean,
It took you a moment because I was a hot mess.
you were a little scary. No, you weren't a hot mess, but I didn't see it coming. I thought, oh, wow, I think I'm going to be friends with this guy. That's that was my big revelation. And just excited, like I said, to work with somebody I respected that much.
How is the nature of love in your 70s compared to like 20s, 30s? Like because often with love stories, we get it, the young couples seeing each other, the meet cutes, but we don't often explore people in their 70s finding love again or finding love after losing who they thought was going to be the love of until the end of time. What have you enjoyed exploring about it at this stage?
Wow. Well, in some ways, in our life, we are very mature, and in some ways, we're insanely immature. Like if someone did film us
Yes.
over 24 hours,
camera.
you know how some people like their whole family and themselves to be on camera as like a TV show? I would die of embarrassment because there's like a massive amount of time is taken up by singing sweet songs to our dog that we make up, and like talking to him in the stupidest voices.
And this
Like-
is the PG part.
Yeah, that's the PG part. Where we have very low senses of humor. I made Step Brothers for a reason. Like that's like right in there, my sweet spot of sense of humor.
And making each other laugh, no matter how low or high the humor is I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
Is our great.
No,
joy.
it's our
If I
goal
hear her
all day
laugh,
long
it's
is to make each other laugh. And
My life works. I can
and
make
that
it laugh.
and trying to get through all our puzzles in the morning that I'm ashamed to say we do together.
I love that.
Because together we have a really good brain, but separately neither of us can finish them.
Like, why is she ashamed of that?
Well, I'm a little ashamed that people get to like Queen Bee by themselves, and Ted and I are going, acai, did you get that one? I mean, it's like, I think the idea of being new and meeting each other at this age was exotic to us because we have lived together with another human for 30 years. I never thought I would say that in my life.
Yeah.
In fact, right before I met him, I'd given up all hope of being in any relationship at all. I was so bad at it that I just said, I present like I'd be good at it, but I'm actually not good at it. And then I met
Me too.
him,
Felt
and
the
like
same.
30 years of happily living with another person is such a gift in life. But it's also fun to imagine, what if I'd never met you until now?
Right.
And that hopefully we brought that to life,
Everything is certainly more. You're not casual about life at this age. You are grateful. You get it. You get the joke. Of life and the importance and everything about it as not a heaviness, not a seriousness, but wow, are we lucky?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Old age is. Look where you got to.
Yeah.
Aren't you lucky?
There's the moment in the Thanksgiving episode where we I'm like, how do we get this friend out of the shot?
Just a sweet little moth that
Wouldn't it be horrible?
interested.
Wouldn't it be horrible if you saw me in the middle of love is everything?
But there's the Thanksgiving episode where we see just how sort of their differences are
Yeah.
working against the relationship. But I also love that they're not, because of where they're at, they're not willing to compromise. And it doesn't mean that they didn't care for each other, but they know what they both want right now.
Right.
How is that to explore too, of not I wouldn't say settling, but like realizing we're different people and that's okay. I enjoyed what this was for the moment that we had it.
Yeah.
Is it okay for us to talk about this for people who haven't seen it?
Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily.
Give away the whole
Yeah.
I won't.
thing.
I won't. But it's not necessarily.
We don't have to.
No, I mean not anyway.
Yeah.
What was her question?
She's very live in the moment, and she's gonna, she's not gonna compromise who she is. Charles is a little more rigid, and he can't just.
Well, I'll talk about us
Yeah.
in life because I do that. I can be way more rigid than Mary, and
I think I scare him to death quite often.
Yeah.
I go, let's do this right now.
Or here's my favorite. I had a thought. I go,
Let me back away.
and it's always something. We know how good her idea is when I say, oh, no, 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 no. The more no's I say, the more we both know it's going to be fantastic. And I just need to surrender.
What was the last one? What was the last idea that you surrendered to?
Can't remember.
Well, our dog would be one.
Oh, well, that's a big one. Yes, I said, no, 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 no more dog. We lost our beloved
Dog
little...
lived to be 18, and we lost him. And that thing about there's a lyric in his song I wrote with my writing partners. Is the loss worth it to love?
Do it again, yeah.
That caused us not, for the first time, to be living life without a dog for 1 year.
I finally looked at her one day and went, oh, I am hurting her soul by saying no to a dog or something. And it's turned out to be the biggest, best, joyful thing. I can't believe that.
Yeah. Thank you for giving in.
Oh, no. I do. I'm slow, but I'm not terminally stupid. I'm very slow.
Well, before we wrap things up, I want to return to something that you mentioned earlier, because there was a time, I think you said, when you turned 70 or your early 70s, where you did think about slowing down, but it was during the time that you were working on the book club with Jane, like seeing her really put a lot of thought into the stuff that she was doing at the time sort of invigorated you. Talk to me more about that, because that quote really spoke to a lot of our readers. I got a lot of emails about you saying, this is your time, take advantage of it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be with work. I think experiences too. But what's your advice out there for people?
I think all the slowing down, being careful. Oh, careful's not bad, but I mean going, I don't know, is based on fear, And I think as soon as you kind of turn that fear off, whatever, and start coming from love, start coming from gratitude, you've been given this life.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you were given it. This is, and in staying curious, all these things that invigorate you are the things that you should be surrounding yourself with, those thoughts, And there's sadness and suffering and all that stuff. A lot of things need to be done and da-da-da-da. You need to contribute. You need to make things better. You need to be purposeful. You need to be an example for younger people. I think that you are an example, and Jane, that you don't have as a young girl or a woman, you don't have a shelf life.
Yeah.
You can be purposeful in contributing and changing people's lives and making things better forever.
I mean, Jane is inspirational on so many levels, and having grandchildren that she wants to save the world for before she exits. I mean, that's front of her brain all the time, and she's brave and she's organized and she's She
Intentional.
very intentional. She's intentional in her friendship. She's an amazing friend. You know, she has taught me a lot about love and about you know, one's own power, and that the lyric is it worth it to love when you've so much to lose? And the answer, whether it's the things we've been talking about, whether it's loving a pet and trying again when you lose them, or having a best friend like I did that passed away, and then do I dare let myself have friends when I'm this age? You know, the answer of all of it is yes. Yes, you know, the answer is always yes to anything to do with real love.
And we bump into this all the time. I don't live in this part of the conversation we're having. I will become fearful, scared, depressed, and then literally like a bomb, BALM, you know, going, stop that, and go, just count your blessings. Oh, and then hope, and then love, and then get out of yourself and focus on the other person is like medicine.
Yeah.
You know, be supportive and loving and kind for a selfish reason.
Yeah.
You'll feel better.
And then does it also play into what allows you to do something like get on an electric scooter?
I know. I died when I saw
I
that.
need people to see that.
It is
It's
so
I thought
funny.
the glitter bombing, but this you
No,
on a
it's
scooter.
the scooter.
You on a scooter.
I hadn't seen that either until we watched it together, and I started roaring. It's really, well, first of all, it's
So good.
I won't give away what happens, but it's funny before whatever happens.
Yes.
Just you on a scooter is funny. The way you stand, it's just
A+.
yeah.
I've developed, you as a kid, you used to run, and then you reach a certain age and you can't. So, well, I'll adapt a way to run so that I don't hurt myself. And people will go, oh, that's such a funny run. And I go, yeah, I worked on
My only run.
my funny run.
Well, thank you both so much for being here. It was really a lovely
You
season
are
getting to
wonderful.
see you two together.
You're wonderful. It was so nice talking to you.
After the break, Mark's interview with Nina Haas.
For the Los Angeles Times and The Envelope, I'm Mark Olson. I'm here today with Nina Haas. Nina, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know you co-star in Hedda, this very exciting adaptation of Ibsen's Hedda Gabler, directed and written by Nia DaCosta. And in the original play, your character, Eileen Lovborg, is a man, Eilert Lovborg. What did you make of that switch when you were first presented with the project?
Well, to be honest, when I first read it, I thought, after I had read it, I was like, why hadn't anyone ever thought of that before? Coming from the German theater scene, which is quite adventurous, I would say. We don't shy away to take the material and do something new with it. And so I was really astonished that no one had thought of that. I enjoyed it so much because I think the main work for me was that I had to forget about that. I just had to look at this character as a totally new thing. Because she's a she changes the whole dynamic of the whole play or film. And it got more and more exciting. The more I was working on Eileen, the more I felt the depth of that character, the struggles she was going through. Not so much with Eilert Löfborg. It's more of a clear cut, He's struggling a bit. He's an alcoholic, but he has a little love affair with Hedda, and he comes and tells her about his adventures, also his sexual adventures, and they have a little love amoureuse thing going on. But he's the hero, in a way, that brings the world to her. So she's looking up to him. And with Eileen, it's more of they're on the same level, and that changes the whole dynamic. It's like, at a certain point, Eileen made a choice for her life and Hedda made a choice for her life. And that got so exciting to explore that. It was it was very fascinating.
The idea of making this switch, was it still revealing new things to you even as you were kind of rehearsing and shooting the movie?
Yeah, because it's very confusing, it's because it is still the Ibsen play, but I really think you don't need to know the play at all to be able to enjoy the film, because it's its own thing like that, and you don't even have to think about, oh, this was a male character before or so. But while working on it, it's like a fixed scaffolding, that play, and it works. Ibsen is such a phenomenal writer. It's like he's meticulous. So if you change something that big in this material, of course, things go a bit leaning that way, leaning that, and so you have to, in each scene, make sure that you get out of it what's needed for the story, but also for Hedda, that you don't ever lose her storyline or finding the motives for why she does things, and for Eileen, what does she want there? Why does she go back to the bear's den, and knowing what is so fascinating about Hedda, that she can't help but go back there, even though she knows it's probably not going to go well. And so all these things that was new. That was new to me.
Why did you come here? To make sure I didn't love you.
There's a wonderful moment in the film. There's a scene where your character, and Hedda, played by Tessa Thompson, and Thea, played by Imogen Poots, the three of you are kind of in a corner at this party, and you're talking amongst yourselves, but you're also like looking at everybody else at the party, and just all the intersecting dynamics of that are so, I found it really exciting. And to me, like, that was a moment where the movie like really clicked into place. Can you talk a little bit just about shooting that scene in particular, where the three women sort of got this chance to like be together amongst themselves?
Yeah, it is kind of a triangle, isn't it, between Thea, Eileen, and Hedda, because also Thea is a character. You might think she doesn't have much agency, but she's the one who actually knows what she wants, and she's the bravest of them all in this night, so to speak. So it's like three women that have an agenda on that evening, and they all try to, like, because that's not something that everyone's used to, and you kind of pretend as if you're having a little chit chat while being observed by everyone. The three of them know. So what was really helpful for that scene was that all these beautiful actors around us, the ensemble, they were all there the whole time for this whole scene, even the ones that you don't see in the background. It's just to give us the feeling that we're in this party. And that, of course, helps so much because you feel observed the whole time, and you kind of do like, like this. But it has a certain urgency. It's like a pressure chamber in that moment. So I think that's what we were working on, but also to not lose the fun with it, because Hedda is very witty, Eileen is quite witty, and Thea is a little bit like, what is happening? I'm gonna understand what you two are doing. So all of us had a different dynamic, I guess, and yeah, that's I guess what we were working on in that moment. And from that moment on, because Hedda does something to Eileen which changes her for the night, and so it's a pivotal scene. Yeah, you're right.
And now the party aspect of the movie, the production, was that true for you as well, that you had to like be in the background of shots or scenes that you maybe weren't, like, did you feel like you were like having to sort of like hang out and like spend a lot more time on set?
Yeah, we were, every one of us, I think we were the whole time there, I mean, if you knew you were in the other room, then we were in something which was actually called by the house owners the dog room. That was the only room where the actors were allowed to be and to drink water because it was all very holy, the whole house, the whole estate. So nothing could happen to the carpets, to the stone floor, to the so we couldn't run around and have something to drink. So we were parked in the dog room, and which was fun because then it happened that you started playing cards and we became a real ensemble. But also that meant when it was needed, we immediately all went and were part of the scene, or if it was needed that we're in the background for our fellow actors and colleagues, and then we would do that. So it was a long was like 2.5 months, I think, of night shoots and of being in this estate and being there every night. And yeah, it was really like a trip a little bit. Yeah, at a certain point. Yeah.
And you yourself have played the role of Hedda Gabler on stage in Germany. And what sort of conversations did you have with Nia, with Tessa? I mean, I'm assuming you have your own thoughts about the character, her motivations, why she is the way that she is. And would the three of you sort of like mix it up and talk about like what the deal is with Hedda?
You know, it's such a fascinating character, Hedda, and that's why all of us want to play her once in our life. It's maybe like Hamlet, so for the man, because it's one of those characters that you don't quite understand her motives, and she's haunted just like Hamlet as well. She's haunted by this father, this general with the guns, and she's haunted by the expectations that she thinks society has on her. But also she's her own person, and she's very free in that. And she's also looking for power. She's striving for power over other people's lives because she doesn't quite feel that she has power over hers. Where that comes from, and if that's necessarily only the pressure that comes from society, you don't know. This is the smart bit about the writing, that I think all of us can interpret it in our own way. And so I was really just excited to see what Tessa is going to do with it and what her interpretation of this was. Because no one owns Hedda. It's really, she will always be a fascinating and modern character, no matter, I think even in the next 200 years, it's because it's also not just about the female experience. It's also yesterday I was talking to someone who said it's like, for me, even being in a man, it's about agency. What do you want in life? What are the decisions in life? What makes you not go for what you feel that's me? I need to explore that in life. And what holds you back? And then why do you think then you have to destroy others, and take what they have away from them because you can't have it? And all these kind of very sadly human movements and emotions. You can find that in Hedda, but also in Eileen. You can find that in Thea. You can find that in Tesman and Brack. It's just an incredible ensemble of characters whom you find fascinating, sometimes in an evil kind of way, but they stay fascinating and you root for them strangely, I think. Yeah.
Is that to you why you think Ibsen's play Hedda Gabler, and in particular this character of Hedda herself, have continued to hold such a fascination for people, and why there's just something eternal about that play?
There are not so many female characters out there that are like Hedda, where you can explore the human and the female condition, really. And because she runs away from your interpretation. And I find that highly fascinating. And I think that's why it will be relevant for a long time, this character, because it's very hard to write also. I'm really in awe of Ibsen's and Nia's writing. Because what Nia changed also is that what you don't see in the play, like the party, you hear about the party, but you never see it. So to be in that party the whole time is also something that it's all in the material, So there are endless options with this, but the central character, Hedda, will stay always fascinating, I think, for everyone.
What in Tessa's performance and sort of Tessa's version of Hedda did you come to kind of appreciate or see as like nuances that maybe she was finding that you hadn't thought about before?
Well, I thought I was really amazed by her very strong choices with the accent, the way she speaks, the way she holds herself. She doesn't show a lot of what she's up to next, but you can always feel this like a snake a little bit. So there's always something, you never know when the snake will go, and she's close, and you kind of, so she had that quality. She found that quality in Hedda, which is really amazing. And but then in the quiet moments, you kind of sometimes feel you can tell why she does that. You see the wound, you see the hurt of Hedda, the longing of Hedda, but then she denies it again. She doesn't give you the secret to her soul, you know. So I think she did a wonderful dance. It was just really great working with her because she would kind of not show much of what Hedda was feeling and thinking of you. So in a way, Eileen was always kind of calibrating, I know you very well, but what are you up to? So for me, it was like this movement the whole time, you know. And of course, she does mean things to her, but Eileen stands up for herself and is also a little crazy one herself. So it was just fun to explore these two women together, and also with Thea, really.
It's so interesting to me that the actor Tom Bateman, who plays Tessman, Hedda's husband, he had actually played your character of Loveborg on stage. So did the two of you sort of have like a sidebar about talking about Loveborg?
He didn't tell me, and thank God. I found out on a QA the other day, Q&A, and no, thank God, I think, because otherwise I don't know. It's just something. Maybe it wouldn't have mattered, but in a way, it was also there. That was very interesting because Eilert and now Eileen and George Tessman, Hedda's husband, have quite a big scene where also George somewhat opens up and asks Löfborg for help. But like, how do I deal with my wife? What do I do? How can I rein her in? What do I need to be doing? Who do I need to be? You know, and that scene all of a sudden had a slight sexual undertone because Eileen would play with him in a different way. You know, there was something, and I was like, we were both, oh, is that in it? Oh, let's explore, you know, what's going on? It was so, and that had something to do, I think that he was curious what my Eileen would be like, which I didn't know. And he was so up for it to look for all the new things that are opening up, the new doors that are opening up with these characters because of the change, the gender reversal.
And now throughout the film, Eileen is sort of slowly unraveling, in part because she starts to get more and more drunk. And movies, you know, they're shot the way that they're shot. They're usually scenes are out of order and things. Just on a practical level, was it difficult for you to to know how drunk to be in a given scene?
Yeah.
And how did you keep track of that?
By discussing it with Nia and always making sure, what level is this now of drunkenness? And then I thought sometimes it doesn't matter because you might be very loose and drunk in a moment, but then if adrenaline kicks in, you lose it again. So if you really come back, like you're on a lake, you're pretty drunk and you can't hold yourself anymore, but you come into the bedroom where you have a scene, just the two of you, either with Thea or with Hedda, then you become a bit more clear because you have to. So it was also that looking at what does the scene need and Eileen need, and also that she has a bit more clarity and points also by how she speaks and all of that. But so I kind of felt fairly free with those decisions, but I wanted to make sure it has a bow and she's not completely out of it the whole time. That would be slightly boring, I guess.
Because there's a wonderful scene where you are the only woman in a room full of men, these academics who really, in a lot of ways, hold the sort of future of Eileen's career, and you really let go in that scene. What was that scene like for you? What is it like to sort of like really let loose like that?
I was terrified of that scene, and I was so looking forward to it as well at the same time, because I just love the way Eileen doesn't care and how she enters the room and says, I'm going to make this my room and you're all going to listen to me no matter what. But she knows how to do it. You know, she doesn't force herself on them. She's just very witty. and brilliant and quick in her brain, and she says the right things and she provokes them, but not too much. And she basically makes them think, oh God, I need to read the book that she wrote, So she, in a way, there are many different levels in that scene, but there's also the competition with Tesman. And she just shows him, you have no chance, my friend. And maybe you can think about, is that because she had the alcohol? Is that a vehicle that she needs to be so free and daring? I don't think so, but it happens. So she uses it to her advantage until it goes bad, it goes wrong.
Because that's one of the things that I think is so exciting about your performance is the way you're constantly kind of moving between this depiction of Eileen as someone who has this like armor and like bravado and is very confident in her intellect and like knows that she's good at what she does, but then also having this vulnerability and insecurity like underneath that. And there's always this like tension between those two things happening.
That's very nice. Thank you. Yeah, because that's what I was looking for in Eileen, because I think that's something we all can relate to, None of us are just, confident. We just, we know what we're doing. And even though you are confident, you have moments of deep insecurity. And Eileen is a wounded character. She had to battle her way to where she's at when you see her in the film. And that left marks and scars and wounds behind that you overcome, but you can never be quite sure that it's going to stay that way. And she's still battling and she's still fighting for her agency, for her personhood, for, and that to show all these levels, for example, the scene where she tells Tesman that she knows Hedda since she was a little girl and always saw her riding on the horse past her window, and her mother, the mother of Eileen, would stand behind her and would kind of go, oh, what a terrible little girl that is, and it's a bastard, and this little girl, Eileen, I think, feeling something for that girl on the horse, being free with the pistols of her father. And so something that evoked something in her. Maybe she fell in love already then. So she knew, I'm probably a gay person, but then she knows she's brilliant. So she follows her desire to become an academic and a writer first and foremost. So that meant a lot. I mean, we're in the 50s. And Eileen is really able to be where she's at in this party with all these men. And she made her way through it. And you can't tell that story without showing her scars. And I think her biggest pain maybe is that she couldn't have Hedda.
Nia and Tessa have worked together before. Mm-hmm. They have a very close working relationship. Nia wrote this really for Tessa. What was it like for you sort of inserting yourself into their creative dynamic? What was it like collaborating with the two of them?
Oh, I loved it because they were so open from the very get-go. Like, I remember my first meeting with Nia on Zoom. I think for 2 hours we talked about this play and we came up with ideas and where I thought, oh my God, this is going to be so exciting. And I felt very invited into their process because also Tessa is also a producer on this. And so they of course, they are a strong couple, these two, working couple. And but it's always, I enjoy that so much, if you feel people are working in a collaborative way on something and inviting everyone in this beautiful way in to find it with them, and that was the feeling they gave all of us. So, it was fantastic.
And given your background in theater, do you find a big distinction between stage acting and screen acting? In part, I'm curious if this adaptation of Hedda were performed as a stage play, like how would your performance of Eileen be different?
That's a good question. I always think when I was younger, I thought there was a difference. And the more I keep doing this, both theater and film, the less I think there's a lot of difference. Not in the way of the thought process. Yeah, there are technical things. Your voice has to be louder, those kind of things. But in the actual process of also rehearsal and then also doing the performances or being in front of the camera, to me, there's not such a big difference. So I think I wouldn't have changed much, because I also think the more quiet tones and the finer little nuanced details, you can also put them across when you're on stage, and it's very fascinating, I find. So I think the actual work on material is not so different.
How have you come to learn that distinction in how to modulate your performance, like knowing what you can do for a camera versus what you're doing for the audience? Like, how have you come to sort of like learn those distinctions?
I don't know. There's just a special relationship with the camera that I have the feeling some of it will just take. I don't have to give it to the camera. I know she's there and she's going to take what she needs, and you don't necessarily have that in theater. That's because there is no close-up. Let's say that is maybe the biggest difference, that there is no zooming in on the thought process, or that it's only the eyes that you see, or that someone decides for you what you're going to see. You don't, in theater, you just have this plain view, and you have to work probably more with your body and in order to bring the same things across. But that's such fun, I think. And also I thought with Eileen, she is somewhat a performer. Hedda is a performer. They perform for society because they kind of have an idea of who they want to be within this circle. And then they perform that. But when you see them alone, there's something other that you can show on stage as well. But it's of course more intimate, I would say. Maybe that's a big difference. The intimacy with the camera and the colleague in film, that's just unparalleled, I would say. Yeah.
I'd seen in another interview you did where you were talking about some of your acting heroes, other actors that you really admire, and you mentioned specifically Paul Newman and Bette Davis and Jenna Rollins, and I was so struck that those are three American sort of Hollywood actors. As someone with you literally grew up around the theater in Europe, how did you sort of come to appreciate that like American Hollywood style of acting, and what is it that you like about it?
I just grew up with it, Also, I could add Marlene Dietrich and Greta Garbo and Katharine Hepburn and so many more. Liz Taylor, actually, also. It was just something, I was never allowed to watch television as a child because my parents wanted that I do other things than just watch something. And so I was always allowed one film on Sunday. And that was always, most of the time, a black and white film because that was on television. I mean, I'm that old that I grew up with 3 channels on television, I'm sorry. So there were no other options. And which was, in a weird way, also beautiful, because you were so excited. You were waiting for this film to start and you had your hot chocolate and blanket. And I was so looking forward to this moment on Sunday where I can watch a film. So I was really, I think, just letting myself go into this other people's lives. And of course, I was so interested later on to see how did they make me do that? Why did I get lost in their eyes? And what is so special about Bette Davis's incredible, inner strength and the way she talks? And then you just see a little flicker in the eye and you go, oh, there's something else going on. What's happening? They just showed me that there's so much mystery in what we're doing, that there's always something else going on than what you see. And I think American actors still now also, that you're just masters in that. And it's unapologetic. I think as Europeans, we're a bit more cautious. It's a little bit more internal, I feel. It's like all very real. Whereas in the American cinema, not always, of course, it's always a generalization, but maybe the way you learn it, it always has this. It's unapologetic. I find that fascinating. It's really something. I think that's why I was. And you make always strong choices, like Paul Newman in the Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Everyone says he's drunk, but he never plays drunk. Just in one moment, I think at the end of the film, it's like, so you dare to hold it up to that moment, and you just let that people say you're drunk work for yourself, and then you give them a little, oh yeah, oh my God, he really was drunk the whole time. Those kind of choices that the actor makes is just fascinating to me. That's why I just really look up to them. And Jenna Rollins is her own universe, unparalleled.
I know, if I can, I want to ask you just a couple questions about the movie Tar that you were in, because that movie has had such a sort of a staying power. It's remained resonant, and like I feel like people are still watching it pretty frequently. Did you expect that movie to sort of connect with audiences the way that it has?
To be honest, yes. I thought, if not, I don't understand anymore what good movie making should be, or why can't, because when I read the script, when I heard Kate would be Lydia Tarr, I just thought, oh my God, we're in for a ride. Yeah, to quote Betty Davis. But that was I thought, you can never be sure. Of course, while you work on it, I don't think about any of that, but I just thought it's so relevant, and it's so intelligent, and it's so thought-provoking and challenging, and beautiful, and it's proper, meticulous filmmaking in every department, And the choices Todd also made and Kate made with the material was just stunning to see, and to be part of it, and to be part of this film, this project was just amazing. So I kind of felt there was such a good energy that I would have been very surprised if this energy wouldn't have reached, the audience that watches the film.
And then both in making the film, but then also in the sort of conversations you all were having when the movie was coming out, did you find that your own opinions about whatever people would call cancel culture like changed or evolved? Like, did you find that making the film changed your thinking about that at all?
I don't know if it changed my thinking about it, but I just always feel that it again told me there are always many sides to things. Nothing is simple. So you always have to look at the nuances. And especially in the world that we're in right now, I think that is really the main thing, to not fall for the easy answer. From all sides, it doesn't matter. There is just no easy answer to anything. We are very complicated, and the world is complicated. So I love that is in there. I saw this film 3 times, and every time I saw, oh, it's about that. Oh, it's about it. Oh, she actually did it. Oh no, she didn't. I was like, again, it's a matter of perspective as well. I think it humbles you. This film. It humbles you, and not being so judgmental quickly, and thinking of, I understood this, I know this, done. No. Be open and see if you can see something else that might tell you another story. So that was the beautiful thing for me to watch the film.
Before we wrap up, you recently were given an award at the Toronto National Film Festival, and when you were accepting the prize, you said how you believe in the power of cinema. And you said it's because you believe that cinema creates empathy, which in turn creates kindness. And I was very moved by that, because, to be honest, like with everything that's happening in the world these days, it has, to me, sometimes felt a little bit like, why are we making these movies or spend all this time talking about these movies? What's the point? And it was actually really helpful to me to hear you put it in those terms. Like, it made it seem like movies and cinema can matter. I feel like I'm asking you to cheer me up a little bit, but could you just talk about that a little bit more? Like, what to you is the power of cinema?
Yeah, it is really like what I said when I was a little child, the experience that you're, because it's not like I'm going through these phases as well that I think, why are we doing this? What does this matter? What we're doing? It's film, and is this relevant? And then I come to see, no, it is art and storytelling is maybe the most important thing that we have, because we have to tell each other our stories. And cinema is this one place where we can all be together, and it doesn't matter where we come from, what education we have, what our agendas are, what our beliefs are. We're in this room together, we laugh together, we cry together, because we feel empathy for the person we're with for, let's say, 2 hours, for the stretch of the story that they're telling, in the most intimate way. I think you can never be, maybe in a book, but then you're on your own. But you're so in a very intimate way in this room with total strangers, but you feel we're in this together somehow, and we feel it. And maybe it's a film from another culture also, or whatever, and we understand each other. We're not so different in what we really want from life and what makes us happy and all these things. So that's a bit cliched, of course, but it is the power of cinema. It also shows you the reality. It provokes you. It challenges you. It kind of questions if your belief system is the right one or not. Or it shows you, that I have options, maybe, It's like that's what art is for. It's to provoke me, my brain, to kind of, and to feel other things. And I think cinema is one of the most powerful tools we have to have. Yeah.
Well, the new film is Hedda. Nina Haas, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's it for this episode. Make sure you tune in next week. We're going to have Tona Tiu and Kiss of the Spider Woman, and also Kate Hudson and Song Sung Blue. See you then.